At night, I would go out with my dad, we'd go shoplift, and then I'm going to Catholic school during the day and praying, asking God to forgive me for my sins. I'm doing this every day. I thought I was being hypocritical.
Derek Lewis, former president of PepsiCo's Multicultural Business and Equity Development and author of Survive and Advance.
They call all the sales guys in a meeting. They're going around the room asking, how many racks have you placed? 1, 2, 4. Lewis, 16.
Wow.
The guy, I'll never forget him, said, well, it looks like there's one vice president sitting in this room right now. I'm a 21-year-old, 7, 8 weeks on the job. Now I have the playbook and the formula for the rest of my career. It's not a racial thing. It's all performance, man.
If you're ready to make a purpose-driven pivot, this episode is for you.
I was given news I had cancer.
So it sounds like God humbled you.
Definitely. God said, get you back grounded, because now you got a bigger mission.
It's time for something that's just for us. It's time to unlock something new. I'm your host, Melvin Rodriguez, and you're tuned in to The Bless Code. Welcome to The Bless Code. In today's episode, we explore the pivot code, which reveals the connection between faith and finances. Your approach to managing money reflects your relationship with God. True financial success involves more than just wealth. It encompasses alignment, purpose, and stewardship. We showcase Derek Lewis, the former president of PepsiCo's Multicultural Business and Equity Development and author of Survive and Advance, Lessons on Living a Life Without Compromise. His journey illustrates how faith can shape high-level leadership, difficult decisions, and a lasting impact. If you're ready to make a purpose-driven pivot and manage your finance with faith, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Brother Derek, it's good to see you, man.
Same here, brother.
Man.
Appreciate you, man.
It's good to see you, man.
Too, yeah.
I tell you, man, first of all, I just want to say, man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man, for your yes, for your surrendering, for your understanding what the gap that needed to be filled in, for your courage, and for your tenacity and drive to stick with it during your corporate career. I know it wasn't easy, but somehow, some way you did it. Help me understand, Derek Lewis, who is he?
Sometimes I ask myself that question. You know, it's been an incredible life, incredible run, and going back to my childhood, which was not easy. You know, I recognized early that I wanted a different life for myself. I grew up in a, very challenging household. I was the co-head of household. I was an older, sibling to 2 younger brothers. Dad was really absent, got in trouble with the law. And so there was a lot of dysfunctionality going on, and I knew that this wasn't normal, like this wasn't stable. This was not practical for me and what I wanted for my life. And so early on, through faith, because I got to meet God early on and talk to God early on in my Catholic school experience, we can talk about that, is that I wanted to, absolutely bet on myself. I wanted to believe in myself and I wanted to be myself. I wanted to maintain those principles from a young child all the way throughout my entire life. And that, in my mind, would enable me to be the best version of myself, no matter what that delivered. I didn't think about wealth creation. I wasn't thinking about, living a lavish lifestyle or having a lot of resources. I just wanted normalcy and stability. I wanted to be able to put my children in an atmosphere where they could learn and not under duress. They can grow, not under duress. They can be loved, not under duress, and give them an opportunity to go out and be the best version of themselves, therefore creating more impact, not only with their families, their communities, but also society as a whole. And so I realized that I carried a lot of weight with that. If I wasn't able to pull that off, our family could have really fallen apart completely. And this dream that I envisioned for myself would have never materialized. So it took a lot of discipline. Took a lot of effort and hard work. There are no shortcuts in life. I have not taken shortcuts at all. They're not there to be had for me, certainly from that vantage point. And I did believe in God. I believed that there was something in this for me that I can do greater, but I had to trust Him. I had to trust the journey. I had to trust the process in life. And so, you fast forward now, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, now 58, it's been such an incredible ride. And a lot of times I'm amazed at what has happened. But I've always stayed to betting on myself, believing myself, and being myself. I never gave up authenticity. I never gave up confidence, taking risk. And I never gave up focusing on me, because I can't be my best version of myself for everybody else if I'm not the best version of myself for myself. So I have to show up for myself first. and then I can create other opportunities for others, right? Sometimes I think it's looked at backwards that you be there for other people, not yourself. You have to be there for yourself first. For me to stand up myself, my foundation, my conviction, my ownership, my action orientation, my consistency, my hustle, I can't do that for others.
Wow. So that is fascinating. And I think you hit it head on when you talk about you felt this call at some point where it was on you to make a decision to strive for greatness, because you began to realize at some point that many were counting on you. What was that moment? At what point in your life did you begin to realize it was up to you?
I felt I was being, somewhat hypocritical. I would go out with my dad at night. He basically hustled. He took me out to go hustle. We would go hustle, and basically we go shoplift items. I go in the store, package things up, take them out of the store. He would take that, sell those things to fuel his substance abuse habit. And so at night, I'm a kid going out at night, hated every minute of it, but I was with him. I got a little pocket change. I got to go buy candy and, McDonald's on occasion if things went well that day. But here I'm living a life of doing the wrong thing at night. And then I'm going to Catholic school during the day and I'm praying and I'm asking God to forgive me for my sins. I'm doing this every day. And it just sits with me when I'm sitting in church and sitting in the pews, in the road, and I'm like, this is hypocritical. How can I do this every day? How can I go out and be this person doing wrong things every day and yet show up at school and say, God, I want another chance every day, every day, every day? It has to stop. This has to end. It can't be this way. So I felt a lot of pressure. I felt a lot of guilt. I'm 9, 10, 11 years old. I'm not a mature child by any stretch of the means. I'm put in a highly mature situation in terms of the life we're living. But I didn't have a lot of stuff figured out. I'm still trying to be a kid. I'm still trying to find my way, but I got to carry the weight of running the household. I got to carry the weight of being a big brother, protective. I got to carry the weight of being a good student, which I was a good student. And at the same time, decipher, is wrong better or is right better, or can I actually do both? Because I was doing both. Wow. And then at some point it hit me is that wrong is going to lead to more wrong, right is going to lead to more right. And that was when I decided, probably at 11 years old, I'm on this whole path now where right is right for me. No more shortcuts. Dad had gone away. So like, okay, now the deck is being clear for me to start processing this in the right way and do the right things.
Wow. And so that's interesting because a lot of men struggle with what I'll call a non-present dad. And you talked about substance abuse, that your dad would do things to enable or support, what he was engaged with at that time. And for many men, they struggle with a non-present dad because of substance. That substance was, overriding his present. And so what did that do for you? Did it discourage you, inspire you? How did in those moments, as you think about where you are now and where you were then, how did that make you feel?
It was confusing because when he was at home, he stayed in the bedroom with me. We had double beds in our room. He didn't stay with my mom. I never called him dad. I never called my dad dad.
Wow.
I called him Roland. That was his first name.
Wow.
Because I would hear her call him Roland. I would hear his friends call him Roland. And I didn't really know him to be my dad because he wasn't performing or behaving like a dad. I said he was my father, but he wasn't my dad, if you know what I mean. So it was this kind of weird relationship where I knew I had to follow his orders, but yet I could see, like, from a household standpoint, he's actually not the co-lead of the household. He's very, he's low on the totem pole in the household. He had no impact really in the household, only when he showed up with his temperament, and then we did what we had to do. But it was confusing to me because other kids, I saw normalcy. I saw mom and dads dropping kids off to school. I saw the loving hugs, goodbye, love you. I saw the resources that those parents were able to provide their kids in the school environment. And I said, you know what? Like, I want to get to that point. There is normalcy. It does exist. It actually is a reality. And it's had nothing to do with being black or white or anything. It's a reality of when that co-parenting thing can happen in the right way, it just unlocks better opportunity for those kids that are in the household. And we unfortunately had to, as many people have to, many kids had to back in the Chocolate City back in the 70s, even today, not having dad around. And so what do? Do you just all of a sudden just sort of give up, or do you sort of fall into the same trap your dad did? Or do you actually take the moment to say, I'm going to be the one that breaks that generational curse. It's now my time. If this family and legacy is going to move forward, it has to be because I decide now to take ownership of that and not fall into the same norms, the same traps, the same patterns that others have done in a way. And that's when I knew I didn't want that life. I didn't like it. So if I don't like it, why am I going to chase that? I'm going to chase what I like. I like normalcy. I like stability. Now I didn't know there was other things that came with that. As you get more normal and stable, boy, you can really create a magical situation for your family and your community and everything around it. But all I wanted for was just striving for was just a normal situation. Lack of duress, lack of stress, lack of anxiety, lack of pressure, lack of getting bullied. I was just trying to get away from that. Wow. And so that was the goal early on as 11, 12-year-old, because I didn't know, I'd be an executive at one of the largest companies in the world, and I'd be an entrepreneur one day, and all these things that I really wasn't able to dream of just because I couldn't get through the fog of the stuff that I just talked about.
Wow. And what's so powerful in how you articulate it is the struggles that most Black men deal with to this day, and allowing our past or current situations to determine our tomorrow, and not embracing the blessing of the pivot. Being able to, I like to say, modifying your strategies or realities to become actually the things that God is trying to ultimately put you in position for in your life. And it sounds like at such of a young age, you had the blessing of stewardship, of the desire to dream and want more, and that confusement that you dealt with actually became your power. And so as you think about your childhood leading up to your adulthood that ultimately put you in position working at PepsiCo, I like to talk about what you went through then, how it prepared you for your corporate career, and ultimately the position that you were able to garner.
Okay, good. No, I think, the childhood started going better and better. I was more concerned about my brother's livelihood because I knew at some point as I went off to school, I had to get off to school. I had to go away to school because there was no way I wanted to stay home because the surroundings were still the surroundings. So as I muscled through and started to create a better version of Derek Lewis, the elements were still around you. There was still that temptation. There was still that ability to go do wrong and step into that world. And so for me was, I've got to get away from DC. I got to get away and go to a place. So it was like, why don't you go to Howard? And, I'm like, no, I don't want to go to Howard because I'm still around the same elements, same environment. I can't break away from that. Even if I lived on campus, I'm still in an environment where, the realities of the city and the streets are still lurking. The demons are still there. Even though you might be in a nice, safe space there on campus, you still have demons floating around. So I needed to get away. And going to Hampton was, I still say, the best decision in my life and the greatest 4 years of my life. 58, those 4 years were the most powerful years of my life. It really, truly...
What did it do for you? What do you mean by that?
Well, look, I'll start just by the checklist, right? One, I graduated with a business management degree. I was the only one in my family of 6. If you look at the siblings and the mom and dad to graduate from college. Now, I had grandparents that were very educated, and I had aunts that were educated as well. But in terms of the 6 of us, I'm the only one that was able to earn a degree. And I earned in business management, which is what I wanted to do. I got into that field, so that was great. I pledged Kappa, which was transformational for me because I didn't understand anything about Divine Nine and fraternities and sororities. But when I got to Hampton, what I found is this brotherhood element, people that I could look up to. I had nobody as a child to look up to. So I'm trying to find my own way. But yet now there are people who are like-minded, who are intelligent, driven, motivated, a little bit older, that I can look upon now and spend time with them to release, to grow, to learn, to transact with, to emotionally connect with, that we're all kind of on the same track. And so having that experience was transformational. And that brotherhood still is very, very strong today. But that experience going through that grew me in massive ways that I never thought of. I used to laugh when I clown, at least I used to call them clowns when I got on campus. I think Charles Barkley made some reference to the Divine Nine the other day, but I would do the same thing. I go like, who are these guys? How do they have so much attention on campus and wearing these Greek letter shirts? But yet, once I became part of it, and then I became a leader inside the organization, really set up for great success. I was Mr. Business Club. I had never won an election on anything. And so I'm in the business school, and senior year comes up, fall semester, we have a meeting with probably 100 students in it. We need to elect officers of the business club. Who wants to run from it? So everybody's nudging me, get up there, go run. So literally, Derek Lewis, you're running, and 2 other people ran, and they literally did a vote. You had to do a speech for like 5 minutes. Didn't know I had to prepare for it, had to come up and do a speech. like everyone else did. And then basically you had to leave the room and everybody voted.
Wow.
And then come back in 10 minutes and they're like, Derek Lewis, you're Mr. Business Club now. Congratulations.
Wow.
So now there's an elevated platform responsibility now that I get that to me put more pressure on me, which is what I like, because the more uncomfortable I got, the more I grew, the better I felt, because I knew that I was going through a transformational phase. I got sometimes on campus complacent because things were going my way, things were happening for me. And I needed moments like that where, hey, you got to do a 5-minute speech. Hey, you're about to get voted
So
on.
in those moments, Derek, were you beginning to realize that you truly were a leader? Were you beginning to identify that of yourself?
I always knew I wanted to be a leader.
Okay.
I always knew I wanted to be a leader.
Wow.
I might not have articulated it very well, but I always, in situations that I was in as a child, wanted to take charge. I always had a vision. So I always wanted to, we're going to play pickup game. And we're going out and we're trying to go pick the 5. And I'm analyzing if I got next. I want to be the one to decide. If I got a buddy that's saying, hey, we got next, I want to be the one that picks the other 3 guys, not this guy. Or if you go into a store to buy something, I want to be the one to organize the meal. I want to be the one to direct our activities for the day and the time. And so I think inherently there were leadership qualities that were inside of me. I don't know if I looked at it that way when I was young, but once I got to Hampton, it started to form that identity. Because I was Dean of Pledgees, I was Mr. Business Club. There were things that were naturally coming my way because people looked and said, hey, you're the guy to take the stage now because you want the stage. You're comfortable with the stage. You have courage. Again, you bring this conviction, you bring this ownership model. Your action, you're very a bias for action. You're not a guy that sits back and wants to just talk about things. You want to go forward with things. So I then found my sea legs on what a leader really, really meant, and it gave me a great foundation. And hey, the most important thing and the strong thing, I met my wife in Hampton.
Oh, wow.
And so, now it wasn't all pretty at the beginning. It was pretty at the beginning, then it got a little rocky. There was a breakup for a period of years.
Okay.
Because I was much older. I was a senior, she was a freshman.
What you do, man? What you do? It was
It's in the book. It's in the book. You gotta read the book. There were other people involved, as we would say, as we talk about. And so that got a little rocky. But then I found when I got outside in the real world, there was nobody built like her. I mean, I dated a lot of people outside of college, was in the real world, and I had money in my pocket. So I had a chance to be very selective, and I was out there. It was a really good time. But then I recognized that through all this, nobody was as good as she was because I knew her. I knew I could connect with her in an intellectual level, an emotional level, like I couldn't with anybody else. And so I go back to recruiting. I did my apology, had to, really work hard to get back in her good graces. But eventually I did. It worked out great. We've been married strong 33 years.
Wow.
Coming up this August, yeah.
So
that's a good resume for Hampton, right?
That's phenomenal, man.
And I got my job with Pepsi.
Leading from?
Campus hire. And I worked for Pepsi 35 years straight.
Wow, from the campus?
Yes. I got my job as a campus hire.
Wow.
So business management degree, Kappa, Mr. Business Club, wife, career, all done at Hampton.
Wow. And what that illustrates is that you were not created to be mediocre. You were created to be extraordinary. You were created to be great. You were a born leader. A born leader. You had a curious mind. You wanted to take control, and it's always been in you. I got to say this, and I want the brothers to understand this. As you all sit here and watch my brother Derek articulate in the opening here of his story, of him acknowledging what he wanted, what he desired, you have those same attributes and qualities. You were not created to be mediocre. You were born to lead. Born to lead. Because as we think about breaking generational curses, breaking those chains, understanding that our kids, our communities don't have to live, don't have to suffer in silence like many before us did. Understanding that they deserve a chance, but you continue to not accept your calling. You continue to wait to be qualified when God has already qualified you. God has already given you provision, but you continue to allow the enemy to work within you. And as you sit here and see exactly what Derek just said, I knew I was a leader and went forward and turned what he knew was always to be true for greater purpose. Man, I tell you, that is extraordinary. And as you think about now your tenure with PepsiCo, and how you were able to grow within, promoting from within into to your highest position.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what was that like? Because I'm sure along the way there were bumps in the roads and trials and,
Right.
and what have
Right.
you, and maybe moments to where you became sick and tired, right?
Right.
I'd just like to learn a bit more about what was that like for you and what it did for you, and how do you feel that your stewardship of staying with it, sticking with it,
Right.
what it did for your family.
It was certainly a fantastic experience. I still draw from it, each and every day, and still feel amazed and super blessed that I had a run of 35 years with one company, one of the largest companies in the world, and ascended to one of the highest ranking executives in the company. Not just highest ranking African-American executive, I flew by that. This was one of the highest ranking executives in a global business, that's doing, north of $70 billion a year. So I had a big time seat at the table for many, many years, certainly the last third of my career, last 12 years of my career in a C-suite role. I started out again as a campus hire in Baltimore, and I learned early on, this was all about pace setting. And so everything that I learned as a child, everything I learned at Hampton, I now brought into Pepsi. And so now, I talk about this in my book, we're in one of the first sales meetings we had. It's probably 2 months in the job. We're promoting a Diet Pepsi in a big way. Mike Tyson was one of the guys that was promoting it back then. And the big bosses came in, the VPs came in because things weren't going well. So they call all the sales guys in a meeting. We started at 5:30 a.m. every day. So we had like a 5 a.m. sales meeting. And they're going around the room asking guys how the promotion is going, basically, how many racks have you placed to help drive the promotion? And so, they start out, this guy's like 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1. Lewis, 16.
Wow.
16. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2. In that meeting, the guy, I'll never forget him, said, well, it looks like there's one vice president sitting in this room right now. Here, I'm a 21-year-old, 7, 8 weeks on the job.
Wow.
And that moment for me said, you can do this. All I was doing, I was betting on myself. I wasn't worried about, I wasn't paying attention to anybody else's numbers. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on around me. I was in my zone. And my zone was, your job is to go Diet Pepsi. The company's put out a promotion, go for it. My job is to beat the competition, not beat the guys inside. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the competition. So my job was to go out there. And I did it in such ways that by going as fast as I went, because I'm always a pace setter, or have a pace setter mindset, what it did for me is says, you can make magic happen in this company. If something like this happened where you're sitting around 15, 20, 30-year veterans and you are running past them in a moment where the playing field is level, you just are doing you, it says that now I have the playbook and the formula for the rest of my career. It's just be a pace setter. Everything you do, you level up. Everything that you try to go do, you focus on level up. You never ever round down. You never get complacent. You swing for the fences. We had a huge competitor. In every market I went into, the battles against competitor were very, very tough. They were strong. So I was already locked in that I had a competitive battle. So for me, it was always, I have to go into places and lift people up. I have to inspire. I have to create new playbooks. I have to push boundaries. I have to set new boundaries. I have to create tension in a lot of cases. And I did that. And it wasn't always popular. There were, there might have been some surveys at the end of a tenure when I was there. Hey, I'm glad he's gone and this, that, and the other. But what happened years and years later when I showed back up in a bigger role, Derek, the place hadn't been the same since you left.
Wow.
Because the elevation package.
Wow.
And so what I, in my mind, said, now this is a experience that you can take through your whole life. And I talk about this a lot. It's the 3 R's: results, relationships, and reputation. And so I tell people, if you are really superior in those 3 pillars, you will achieve the highest level of success possible in your professional life, in your personal life, in your spiritual life. You can't cherry pick. A lot of people only focus on one of the pillars. They're very good at focusing on one. I'm great at my numbers. Yes, but your relationship management is actually mediocre, if not subpar, because people don't trust you. You're not seen as a collaborator. You're seen as kind of playing your own game. That hurts you on the relationship side. That costs you a lot of rooms to get in. And your reputation. Some people don't worry about their brand. Your brand's being affected every second of the day. Every second of the day. So if you're not focused on all 3 of those pillars, and working those every day, you can't be the best version of yourself. And people get stuck at only one part of the pillar. Some people only focus on relationships.
Wow.
It's all about who you know. And guess what? They're not good performers.
Yeah.
Or their brand is not really good. Some people only focus on their brand. And they're not good at relationships, they're not good at getting numbers. So guess what happens? You get passed over. I've been in the rooms, I've been in those conversations. Now I fought for people in those rooms saying, hey, this person deserves another shot at this. Don't write this person off. We haven't given her or him the right opportunity. Let's focus on giving him her the right opportunity. So Derek, you support these people, you support this person. I absolutely, because I know these people. I've worked with them for a long, long time.
Wow.
All right, we'll give it a shot because you're here and you say it's good. You have to fight for people.
Right.
And if we don't fight for each other, the same thing. Now, when I get back, I'm having that conversation about the 3 R's. Hey, today, in that conversation, you are gapped on one of these 3 R's. You need to step up. Let's talk about how you're going to do that. And once you do that, it's all tailwind for you. If you don't, you're still going to have the headwinds and wonder why people get jobs in front of you and why people get brought in front of you. It's not a racial thing. It's all performance, man. It's performance.
Yep. Results.
Relationships, reputation.
So, which ties into this. My attitude determines my altitude. And I can't even think about results, relationships, repetition. I can't even get there if this ain't them.
Right.
The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he in his heart. My mindset, if I can't even separate from these thoughts, I can't even embrace these results.
Completely agree.
that are for me.
Right.
So I want to talk about this confidence, this drive that you were blessed with, that many men struggle with. And I really need your help to help them break what they're lacking so that they can begin to focus on those results, those relationships.
Right. And your reputation, your brand, right? Really important. You know, I think the world, I was at a conference, Black Texas Expo last week, 2 weeks ago, which was a fantastic event. Talks obviously about wealth creation and the resources available. And there's always this question on what is rich. And there was a study done that $2.3 million is the number that determines whether or not you're rich or not rich or whatever. So they asked me the question, what do you think is rich? And I go, rich is not something I look at as tangible. I look at something I can touch. I look at something rich as being beyond the material. So I look at rich as being, you know, I talked about being happy, being healthy, and being hopeful. Right. That's rich for me. It's something beyond the material. I want to, in my mind, know that I am being the best version of myself, right? My body, physically, I'm good spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I'm very optimistic about where I'm going and where my family's going, where my journey's going, right? That's being rich to me. The money matters, yeah, you need resources to do things, but if you start with the wealth creation as your model for rich and altitude and attitude and all that, you're going to take a lot of missteps, in my opinion. You got to get grounded in the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, in my mind, when you're strong with that, then you elevate to the 3 R's. Now, all these other things that can be material and non-material start coming your way. And now you get a portfolio of things that you can really start to leverage in your life to create better scenarios for yourself, your family, your community, and society as a whole. And that's the position I want to be in now, is generating power for others. You know, I've shown that I can do it. Now it's most important for me that I show others how to do it in the playbook, right? But it does start with your mindset of what is rich, what is success, what does level up mean? What does that mean to you? You know, and if you strictly go right to the financial lens, I think you're taking a lot of, call it missteps, to you creating the most impact you can go create. Yes, that sounds good. It feels good. That's what everybody wants to chase. That's the main thing in the generational curses is wealth transformation and transfer. That's all good. That's all going to come if the fundamentals and the foundation is right. That all comes.
Exactly.
So you get it wrong. That doesn't drive the foundation. The foundation drives that. People think that drives the foundation. That actually creates more problems if you don't have the foundation right.
So brother, that ties into embracing the blessing of the process. Because to your point, the money is it's great. It allows you to do things, have things, and what have you. But if you embrace the process, meaning knowing that if every single day I show up, I'm consistently putting the work in, no matter what I'm going, I'm staying with it, I'm sticking with it, and understanding that My persistence break downs my resistance. So I'm going, I'm remaining steadfast. I'm going through it. I'm going through the valley, but I'm sticking with it. The results are gonna come.
It will come.
Right? Because along the way, if I'm establishing relationships, key relationships, that translates for me to have resources and expertise to help me along the way. Right? That's gonna help me obtain those results or those financial results. Right. But we miss that.
We miss that a lot.
We miss embracing the process.
And for me, let me tell you, like, a lot of people won't even acknowledge this or recognize this, and I'm realizing I'm maybe a little different. Every night I go to bed, I am dissatisfied. I create dissatisfaction to help jumpstart me for the next day. So I'm always in a moment of discomfort. I can celebrate wins, I can celebrate moments, I do that. I love moments of celebration, but at the end of the day, there's still more leveling up to go do. So there's always a healthy, I call it healthy dissatisfaction level in my mind that you could have done better. You could have done greater. You could have gone up a little further today. You didn't. You're not a failure. You're not a bad guy. You shouldn't be pessimistic about it, but you can do better. So what are you going to do when you wake up tomorrow to go do better? And so I create these mind games with myself on, you didn't do enough. You could have done better. You should do better. Come on, Derek, get into it. And it creates this really nice balance where I'm able to celebrate the moments of success in a very temporary way, because I want to move on. I don't want to get locked in that and get complacent and, okay, everything is really, really good now, so now I can pump the brakes. No, there's a lot of work to do. Our world is chaotic and complex. So when I go to bed with that healthy dissatisfaction, guess what happens? The next day I wake up, I'm focused. And when I'm focused, man, all things are possible when I'm focused.
Wow.
If I'm not focused, then I'm complacent. Guess what happens? You start to get off track. You start to get, a little bit lackadaisical, a little too comfortable. And guess what happens? The impact starts to diminish that quickly.
That is powerful, because most men don't understand this, that we as men in particular, as Black men, must be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the narrative around, I've made it. I made it to the lead. Now the family good. We good. Are you good? Are you good? Because to me, that I see that you become complacent. I see that you become comfortable. I see that the end is near for you because you're reckless, right? You have no stewardship on the results of your financial blessings.
Right.
And when you go to bed, I've made it. But you just stated, I'm dissatisfied because I still got more work to do. Until the moment we are called home, we got work to do. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So who are you to say, I've made it? You've made what? God said, I've put you in position. God said, these 4 P's: pain, purpose, passion, position. So we're going back to pain. You've been through some things. We've seen through some things. When you were a child, you saw this. That was painful. That was confusing. But out of that, you begin to find your identity, who yourself at a young age, your purpose, your passion, position. God's put you in position to now help put others in position. And this is what's so important, man, about what I'm doing with the show, man. Because ultimately, man, I feel that there's a shift, a generational shift that's on the horizon, but it takes us to be vulnerable to show us what truly is possible when this mindset is right, when this mind is not satisfied, because we got to keep going. And when you obtain those results, that's wonderful. You got to keep going. Think about the stock market.
Right.
So you've got some gains.
Right.
You got some wins. Okay, what do?
Right.
We reinvest.
You cash out? No. Right.
No, you don't. No.
Keep going.
We got it, because I'm dissatisfied.
Right, you find the next thing.
That's right. You got to keep going. You got to keep growing, because the generations to come are counted on you. So when you think about, and for me, I'm more interested in wealth conversations, because as I think about wealth, it's not even on the financial side of things, but it's the wisdom, it's the mind, it's the will, it's the drive, it's the idea of I'm never satisfied.
Right.
I'm never satisfied because I know there's more to this life. I know there are things that I haven't even seen and experienced, so I got to keep going. And I know if I get complacent and comfortable, I can't get to those things. So for me, it's the things that I do now. I want to make sure that they have material, tangible, real impact to my lineage to come.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I think it's important as men that we understand it, and that comes from having a selfless
Right.
mindset.
Right.
Doing things not just for thyself. Right. And so when you think about, and I like to talk about on the financial side, what would you say how faith and your faith was a guiding principle in you navigating financial decisions?
No, that's a great question. For me, I look back and reflect on that. I do things in threes and acronyms and things like that because it keeps simplifying. You have to simplify. We have to simplify for people, right? So I always talk about the 3 E's as well, right? I talk about education, I talk about economic empowerment, I talk about engagement, right? So early on, I knew by my mom putting me in a Catholic school, which there was a lot of funding for, so it wasn't necessarily an expensive thing, but it was certainly a detour from the other kids in the neighborhood, was a investment in my education. I realized that education, yes, goes beyond the degrees, but it's a real centerpiece in terms of, the Black families and families in general to help break generational curses and get you on solid ground. The economic empowerment part, I talk about in my book. I was selling Doritos as a young kid, so I had a lot of freedom, obviously with my situation. So I peel off a little bit of money from the grocery money that I was able to go save, $5, $6, $7, go buy a big bag of taco Doritos from the mom and pop carry out in the morning on the way to school. I leave early, go to school, go to mom and pop carry out, took the Glad bags from the house, and literally on the way to school stuffing Glad bags and would sell them for 25 cents at lunch. And all the kids, I was like the guy, because I'm selling Bubble Yum, I'm selling Jolly Ranchers, I'm selling Doritos at lunch. I'm the guy. These kids are coming with bologna sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly, and I got all the goodies, right? And so early on, I was using that money. I make $4, $5, $6, $7 of profit every day. I go use that, go play pinball, to buy my next round of Doritos, to self-invest, to create more money, keep money in my pocket, big gulps after we play basketball. And so early on, there was a way for me to understand how to do that. And on the side, I go cut grass, I go clean houses, I go wash cars, I would change oil for people, I would walk senior citizens' groceries to their car, to their homes that lived in the adjoining neighborhood by the grocery store. And so in my mind, I created this whole thing of how to go make money the right way. I saw the wrong way, which was go out and go take something, go sell it. That's quick money in your pocket, but that's not sustainable. But what I was doing was sustainable. I can do this on a consistent basis and keep money in my pocket and also teach me great, valuable skills with people, right? And build relationships. And then the engagement, staying involved with my family, staying involved with my community, staying involved with my, employer, in my mind are those pillars where I'd say, look, you're on your way to your economic journey. It starts with education. It's a continuous education process. It starts with you being empowered to know how to go make money the right way. There's no shortcuts, right? And then also you have to stay engaged on what's going on in the culture. You have to stay on the new trends, on what's happening in businesses, where to go, where to lean in and all that. Now, where I see a lot of, because I'm going from corporate to entrepreneurship, which is great, fantastic. I'm a new entrepreneur in this space. And so there's a lot of learnings that I've had even in the startups of the businesses. But what I would say, generally speaking, is I look at failures that have happened, I look at a few areas. One, all this corporate experience is going to absolutely make me a great entrepreneur. Fantastic. One, strategic planning, setting vision for the future. Absolutely did that over and over again. I'm bringing that to my entrepreneur life. Two, brand building and marketing. Powerful. If you don't market your product and idea, it goes nowhere, right? There's a executional, operational excellence part of a business that you're in. If you can't execute with excellence, your business is going nowhere. Talent management, can't build world-class teams and know how to identify, recruit, train, develop, nurture, compensate talent in a way, that's a disaster for businesses. And then I look at financial discipline literacy, right? Spending more than you're making, right? That's a disaster. So entrepreneurs who look to build, optimize, and amplify, in my mind, need to have those 5 pillars right. They have a great idea. It's not the idea that, to my mind, creates the failure. It's not lack of the ideas. The ideas are really great ideas. It's one of those pillars usually is shortchanged in the effort. And any one of those pillars, if not done right, can create a disaster for you and failure in your business.
Right. So now, to the contrary, when you think about all those attributes, those qualities, and those gains that you earned from your tenure in your corporate career, that you've been able to transition over to your entrepreneur tenure. Now, let's talk about in reverse order how your faith may have been tested in relation to financial situations, right? So let's just say things weren't going to plan, and now you're tested.
Yeah, I mean, when I got to Florida, and I was a big-time executive, I was one level below president level when I got the job to come down to Florida back in 2008. And I was sending my kids to private school. I wanted to send my kids to private school. We moved into a nice home in the suburb of Orlando, in town of Windermere. So bought a decent home. I had to go take out a 401k loan to make the tuition payments for January. So I had to borrow from myself to figure it out, because all the stock options, the ones I had that already invested, I basically used to get down here and create what I created here. But from that point on, I mean, I was living, not check to check, but it was very temporary. I could not go invest in other things. And that created not a scary moment for me, but just a moment of, damn, I've been here for 20 years now. And I mean, I have a nice house. My kids are going to private school.
What's happening here?
But what's happening here? Where's the bounce at with all this? And from that point on, I just kept having faith on keep being a great leader, keep being a great family person, keep being a great spouse, do the right things. I had to develop a great relationship with my pastor at that time. And so my faith journey that always ebbed and flowed got really strong from the 2008 to the, call it 2011, 2012 era, where we were locked in. And we were going to church every Sunday, and I was spending time with my pastor, and we were golfing and, spending time outside of church to help build the best version of myself. He tightened me up a lot because I still had a lot of casual language I was using, and, I still probably wasn't focused on all the right things.
So it sounds like God humbled you.
Definitely. And you want to take this next step, you need to get yourself right. And it's a lesson now that I learned. Once you get yourself right, once you lock into me in the journey, I had this book called The Purple Book. I still have it. I would go on the road and basically read scriptures, and you're defining what the scripture taught you, and you're writing lessons down. So I was taking the Purple Book on the road at night in the hotel, and instead of watching hoops and all that, I was going to the Purple Book. I'm like, okay, I'm locked in. All right. And I'm not looking for something like, okay, what's the turnaround? When am I going to start getting? I looked at it as a commitment to the process. I felt better. I felt engaged. And then what happened from 2012 when I got the North America job all the way through the end of my time there was exponentially abundant. It was incredible run. The results, the relationships, the reputation all went through the roof. And I go back and go, what was the turning point of how did all this happen where I wasn't feeling uncomfortable, but I was feeling where's this headed to? Wow. What did you do, man? This is what you did? Now, what I now understand from there is, yes, I did this for you. There's a whole lot more you got to go do. There's another chapter to this, because after I retired and I had, a good portfolio to look at, good things happening, and time for me now to reassess what I want to do in the next chapter, I was given news I had cancer. I had colon cancer. 3 months after I retired, I had blood on my stool, got it checked out, and probably the toughest day of my life, one of the toughest days of my life, was doctor telling me in front of my wife, yeah, you've got a cancerous tumor, and you need to go see an oncologist and a surgeon. I'd see him right away. And we get in the car and go, wow, I can see she's getting upset, she's getting really, really sad, and what do we do? And, I'm like, let me phone a friend here. This is phone a friend time. Phoned a friend who I knew had cancer, person I had never, who always been reaching out to talk to me, spend time with me, but I always kept saying, I'm traveling, I'm busy. But at this time, I phoned her and said, Maria, I need help. I'm in a situation here, I need some advice. Gotcha. And within 2 hours, on the phone with the chief medical officer, on the phone with my surgeon, We got you. Send us your records. Done. We got you. Don't worry about a thing. We got you. From what I look at, I'm not going to give you the diagnosis over the phone, but we can treat this. We got you.
Wow.
And so I go, here's another moment where, again, he's setting a landscape for me to saying, don't get too comfortable. There's more work to go do. But now you got to get your body right because you ignored your body for years. Surgeon told me you've been carrying cancer for 18 months.
Wow.
Because I was worried about, I wanted to do the surgery and I ended up doing it in May. And there was a time where it might have been July with the scheduling department. I'm like, I can't wait till July. He's like, Derek, you've been carrying this thing for 18 months. Another month ain't gonna really matter.
Wow.
You had it for 18 months. You've been walking around with this for 18 months. And the centimeter.
Didn't even know it.
Didn't even know it. Well, there were signs, but I ignored the signs. Digestive signs, I'd say traveling, drinking, eating bad on the road, and I would take supplements or things to relieve myself.
But it kind of ties into our ego. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling good.
I feel good.
The executive physical passed with flying colors.
Right.
Your physicals are good. Your stress test is good. Your cognitive skills are really good. You're in the 80, 90th percentile in your testing. So I'm like, babe, I'm good. Derek, you need more routine checkups. You need a general physician. You need a PA. And I'm like, okay. But so I feel like there was another cycle where God said, get you back grounded because now you got a bigger mission. Right. And so now I'm on that bigger mission. I call it go-giver mission. I was always a go-getter and now I'm a go-giver. So it shifted. Now I'm still going to get it, but I was 100% go-getter most of my career, most of it. The last part of my career, I started to really think about others in ways and the legacy and paying the legacy off. But now the pendulum has shifted. Now there's a much more bigger framework of go-giving than go-getting. Go-getting I can do in my sleep. So you don't need to emphasize that anymore. You've proven you can do that. Now you need to step up to go-giving because now your impact is going to be far greater. I'm going to save your life. I'm going to extend your life to do that. I'll make sure you have the resources. I'll make sure your relationships stay world class. There are people that come to my life that are just generating tremendous energy. You being one of them, so now this is really a time to pay it forward. It's a fun time because you get to put smiles on faces of other people. You get to change lives. You get to watch people get excited about their life. And it's all because I'm not trying to create value out of that for me or wealth out of me. I'm doing my job, my obligation. Because when I was 8 or 9 or 10 years old, you saved my life. It's now my chance to go save other people's lives.
Wow. So it seems like your '08 experience became your pivot experience in a sense. And so then along the way, when you were able to survive and thrive from that moment in time, and you were doing fine, you were doing well, you're growing, you're doing your thing, and then some things were happening to you in reference to your health and well-being, but you weren't, quite frankly, acknowledging it as you should have. And so then that ties into one's disobedience to thyself. The Bible says our bodies are our temple, and we oftentimes make it lesser of a priority because of the desires of the flesh. And at one point, you begin to realize, you know what, something's up here. Something is up here. And then when you got the news, which at the time could very well have been horrible news and not great news, bad news, but then it actually became great news for you because that news began to tie into your legacy, and then it ultimately allowed you to obviously go into your book and what's happening right now.
Right.
And it's interesting with the title, Survive,
right.
Thrive, Survive. Like it's interesting how that came about. And I'm sure it's many more parts to that, but that sticks out for me. And as I think about in our communities, many of us are taught to survive but not thrive.
Right.
We're taught to keep it here in this place.
Right.
It don't leave this place.
Right. Just keep it going. Right.
So you're going through something with your health and well-being, you keep it here.
Right.
We'll figure it out. We'll deal with it. Versus you getting that phone, listen, I'm going through something here.
Right.
And that moment you embraced the blessing of being vulnerable of what you were dealing with. And that became the path to your winning.
Yeah.
That ultimately allowed you to now truly tap into your legacy that many will be touched by.
It is. I love when you say winning, because that's what it's all about, winning. Winning is fun. Winning creates happiness. Winning creates optimism, confidence, desire to do more when you're winning, right? We all want to win. And I feel as though the goal every day, and always has been, create as many wins as you can, not just now for yourself, but create wins for others. And now the abundance of wins that I see others having as a result of things that I'm doing creates more magic for me, more inspiration for me to keep pounding the pavement. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. I didn't get all this to ride off in the sunset. I know that. And so I feel pressure in that regard, not bad pressure, not intense pressure, but the pressure of, you know what? Man, save another life or two, inspire another life or two, right? That's going to make generations better behind us, going to make society better behind us. And you're right, one day when that last breath has happened, I still will be thinking about what leveling up could mean. I'll take that with me to the last breath, right? That's, in some regards, not scary at all for me, but that's my life. That's how I want to be remembered.
That is phenomenal. And I tell you, as we think about our blessings and being honorable and obedient to our blessings, I like to ask my guests in closing their daily code that they live by. For you, what is it that you would say your daily bless code is?
My daily bless code is, I think I've touched on this, happiness, healthiness, and hopefulness. Those things in my mind matter. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. Life is fun. Feel good. Each and every part of the day, feel good about what you're doing. I want to make sure my body is in a good position that I can go do the things that I want to go do. And so the commitment to the physical being as strong as possible is also fun. It's challenging, but it keeps me engaged. It makes me work harder. And then hopeful. I always want to be optimistic. I'm not one of those guys that wants to be around negative energy. I sniff out negative energy in a nanosecond, and I distance myself away from it. So this power of positivity drives everything. Fear is not a word in my vocabulary. Success is a big word in my vocabulary, right? And so it goes back to that mindset. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be hopeful? Do you not want to be hopeful? I want to be hopeful. So, man, health, happiness, and hopefulness, man, those are what I love to do each and every single day, and carry that forward through the 3 R's, the 3 E's, the 3 C's. Wow. I can go on and on about all the frameworks I have, but at the end of the day, that's the feeling I have. I'm a feel guy. I'm a life guy. I'm not a touch guy. I'm not show you what I've done. Let me show you how good I am. I want to feel it, man.
Right.
And I want you to see it through me, through my energy, and through looking in my eyes, how I feel about myself in my life.
That is amazing, brother. Yeah. God is working through you. Jeremiah 29:11. God's plans are so good, even if the process is painful. And you were able to weather the storm after storm. And you are here today with great purpose, a great calling that is truly impacting lives. And just to hear you, brother, I'm inspired. I'm inspired to continue to lead. I'm inspired to not be dissatisfied. So I thank you. And with that, brother, I think we've done it. I think we've done it. I think we've unlocked the pivot code.
Amen.
Unlock the pivot code and the blessing to modify our strategies to fit our realities. And you articulated this so well. So, brother, I thank you.
All right, brother, thank you.
I thank you. Thank you for joining this episode of The Bless Code. Living by His code is a journey full of grace, growth, and opportunities to bless others. If today's episode spoke to you, please share this powerful message, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social to stay grounded, grateful, and blessed. Until next time, keep your faith strong, your heart open, and live life you're destined for. I'm your host, Melvin Rodriguez, and you just unlocked another Bless Code.